La. Okay. I'm going to try it here, see how this goes. This mic quality is awful. Okay. We are live. We are testing. I think I've got this sorted out. I'm going to let people start showing up in the chat. And we will see how this goes. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to let me know how the audio is going. You are not obligated to. It is helpful. Okay, let me get rid of that. Okay. All right. Hi, Jose. Thank you. Glad the audio sounds good. Hi, Liv. Welcome. Sorry for the delay. I had some kinks to sort out on here. I was thinking just doing a live webcam video here on YouTube would feel like very 2009 and easy to do, but it fussed at me and was like, hey, you're already using your webcam somewhere. Even though I wasn't using it on anything and every other program was closed. So I decided, okay, well, I'll try to just stream it on Twitch. And then when I got there, I realized, wait, I've built an audience here on Twitch who has no idea what this even is. So why am I doing that? So I was like, let me take another shot at this. Question 1, why? Answer 1, why not? Next question, Liv. Feels so great seeing you on my screen again. Thanks, Jose. Feels great to be on a screen again. I have a pretty basic webcam. I apologize if it doesn't look, amazing. It's not from my smartphone or anything. I figured the goal here is to just kind of chat with the viewers a little bit and talk a little bit about the project. And I don't think it needs to look like Oppenheimer. So, hey Vadix, welcome in. Thank you, Vadix. That is a giant fake fan plush. I played about 5 hours of Scarlet, and that is it. I like Fouet Coco. I like the starters. It actually didn't really have a lot to do with like the technical issues. I didn't have a lot of technical issues, and I said, wow, this is awful. I don't want to play this game. I don't know. I think I've just played so much Pokemon over the years. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't feeling the new game at the time, and I went to a town. I had to go find some items. Did some kind of fetch quest, and I went around and I found the items, and I was like, I kind of don't want to play this anymore. And I just didn't do it. Didn't play more of the game. And I swear I had some area in the open world like very early. I mean, I'm talking like 5 hours into the game. I swear I had some area in the world where I could not figure out like how to get back up. I went down in some kind of like canyon area. And I for the life of me couldn't figure out like how to get back. I spent probably like half an hour trying to figure out how to get back. I was like, I don't like this. So then I went on Twitter and complained about open world games and how I don't like when games are so open and the world has nothing in it and nothing to explore or whatever, you know, because that's what people always say about open world games they don't like. I don't like wandering around looking for nothing. I want every pixel to have something interesting in it. I don't like being curious. Anyway, that was just a little bit of a tangent. I figured tangents are fine as long as they go nowhere. Vadix would like to know, do you still talk to OG Let's Players like Durden77, Nintendo Capri Sun, Paper Mario Guy, Slim Kirby, and Trask Nari? Paper Mario Guy and Trask Nari I'm not really familiar with at all. I think their names kind of ring a bell. I don't know if we ever had any relationship, though. I've not talked to Durden in a couple of years. I want to say we're Facebook friends. I still never met him, which is unfortunate. I mean, I've still never met Griffin Lobster. But I say this because Durden actually doesn't live that far from me. I don't know if he moved now. I don't think he ever did. But at least back when he was Let's Playing, like I did, he lived outside of Atlanta, which is about like an hour and 45 minutes from where I live. So we probably very easily could have coordinated something, like some kind of co-op or something like that. But it just never did it. It's been a couple of years since I talked to Durden. Nintendo Capri Sun, not really. We were in contact quite a bit years back, but no, I think I've gone to a excuse me, I've gone to a stream of his or two. But they tend, as you might imagine, they tend to be a little chatty. So it's a little hard to kind of be one-on-one with him, if you will. Actually, on the subject, NCS lives in Atlanta now too, yeah. On the subject of NCS, since a couple of people are bringing him up, and you say he lives in Atlanta, I guess I'll just mention this randomly here on a Twitch stream. This is this never turned into anything like elaborate or anything. He lives with Chug, I believe so. Yeah, I think they live. I want to say there's like a Nintendo Direct reaction that they're like on the couch together or something. Actually, on this subject, years back, when I was talking to Nintendo Capri Sun a little bit on Skype, just in text chat, he and I we actually were going to do something together. We filmed something, a little bit together. It never saw the light of day, though. Nintendo Capri Sun and I actually were going to do a versus series of Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know if versus are like still big among people, but they kind of got some traction like 10 years ago. And we were actually going to do a versus together. We actually recorded a little bit of it. And by recorded it, I mean I recorded my end of it. We got all the way to Clanker's Cavern, and Tim realized he wasn't recording the whole time. um, so we kind of went like, oh crap, well that's fine, you know. And then so that happened, and then unfortunately we just kind of never revisited it, and so the project just never happened. I guess I could have, like, I don't know, I could have pressed a little bit more and maybe said let's give it another shot or something, but I don't know. Maybe the first session didn't go as well. Like, I don't know. Maybe our back and forth wasn't as strong, and I probably felt like maybe I didn't bring enough to the table or something. It was probably something like that. I was pretty commentary conscious at the time. So we ended up not ever doing that. Anyway, let me pick up on chat a little bit here. Nox Dishes says, I saw you, had to jump on. What got me stuck on you was Ocarina of Time. That time was so legendary and nostalgic for me. Thank you, Nox. That's awesome. Great to hear. I'm always curious when people mention this. Did you ever see the original series in 2008? Or did you come on board later with the new version? Because when I hear from people who actually saw the original, either's wonderful, but anybody who was around for like the 2008 version is just amazing, because, you know, it's all a memory now. And thanks, Jose. I appreciate that. Ultimate Recap was an idea I sat on for a very long time. Once the recaps became a thing, like the idea pretty quickly came to me, like, okay, well, I guess I've got to recap the whole project at the end. So I had to just kind of sit on that idea for a very long time. And Slim Kirby, not really. Kind of a little bit through Odinspec. He's good friends with Odinspec, or Odinspec 33. He's a big regular at his streams. So I might chat with him a little bit in the chat through the streams. But we don't really talk so much one-on-one. And it lives all perfect dark. That kind of blows me away, to be honest, because I could barely tell you anything about that project. That project was ugh. It was whatever, but I had the game music turned off in that project. I went into the settings and I turned the game audio, the music off. And people were like, "Where's the music?" And I was like, "It's distracting." Like, what? Like, how is it distracting? Turn it on, you idiot. Dark Gentleman's. Is that really you, dude? That is unbelievable. If that's really you. 69 problems. Yeah, that probably is you.
How is it distracting?
I really hope you still have access to your account, Dark Gentleman's. It's really, Dark Gentleman's. It's funny. I actually went to your channel not that long ago. I swear, maybe like a month ago, because I randomly remembered the moment where you cut to like Hip Hop Harry in the Donkey Kong Country 2 co-op. Oh, you don't have access to it? Oh man, did you get like locked out of it or something? That's terrible, man.
I randomly remembered the moment
Well, it's cool you're around though, man. Is your avatar the Count?
hip hop Harry.
Dear God, that's you don't even have to prove that that's you. That's great, man. It's good to see and hear from you, man.
Oh man, did you get like locked out of it or something?
Yeah, 17 years ago.
Is your avatar the count?
Anyway, let me. Oh, Grimace Pimp. Okay, yeah, it's really tiny on my end, so couldn't quite tell. The King Zora talking about the vasectomy. Oh yeah, that was. I remember that. So I think that was when King Zora's moving slowly, right? And I think that was kind of the joke was just how long it took him to move or whatever.
Grimace. Really kind
Watch your Vite series. Is it too late to LP in 2025? Hmm.
of King Zora talking about
Wouldn't say. I mean,
that was
it all depends on what you want to get out of it. I think. I mean, I never in a million years want to discourage people from doing anything that entices them. You know. What's up, Griff? Welcome in. You're probably like going to bed right now because I know you're getting up at like 3:30 in the morning to go on a hike or something.
say I mean
But because you hate yourself. But anyway, hi, welcome.
want to discourage people from doing anything.
And Shots is here. What's up?
Welcome in.
Compared to the Twitch streamers, I mean, is it worth LPing on YouTube when Twitch is the new fad? Well, I mean, it's kind of like I said. I don't like to just throw "it depends" as answers, but I think it really depends on kind of like your end goal. You know, what you really want to get out of it. If you're really like, man, I really want to be the next Chugga Conroy. I really want to build a huge audience. I mean, I can't say it's impossible or anything, but it's hard for.
I mean it's kind of like I said
I mean, I think it's hard to build a new audience with that kind of content now. I normally encourage people to try to build communities as much as possible and make friends because not only do you have an audience that way, but that's going to be the what's most fun about making content. I think is the people you make it for. I would rather make content for
I normally
like 5 people that I love and have a great relationship with than like 5 million strangers that I don't know anything about them, you know. It's the same with chats, you know, like something like this where it's just a handful of notable people. Like this is great. If it was just 5,000 people, you know, yelling memes and stuff, I mean, like that would be overwhelming, but also just I'm not going to get anything out of that. And you can always try out both too, Vadix. I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, you don't really have to be locked into one or the other. I mean, you can,
this is great.
you know, you can try streaming on Twitch. You can try making YouTube content as well. Twitch is Twitch and streaming is ideal for more. It's more live and direct and personal. Like this, there's a chat. You talk one on one. You answer live questions. Making YouTube content is better if you really have creative juices. You like just making things. There is something creative about
Twitch and streaming
streaming, but I think sitting down and editing and
more live and direct and
really sitting on a timeline and looking at things and making content, there's a certain satisfaction in creating something like that you can't quite get from streaming and just doing live content, I think. So it also depends on just like which you enjoy more. you might like the format of just talking to an audience like this more than sitting down like trying to come up with things on a timeline in a video editing program. So always experiment. Always experiment. Try things out. You're not locked into anything. Especially with Let's Plays. Dear God, the amount of nothing projects people make, including me. Look, go out to any person's channel. You'll see a 2-part Let's Play they never finished. Happens all the time. You go to people's channels. Breath of the Wild, Episode 1. Oh my God, I'm so excited. They never touch the project again. You're like, man, what happened? Anyway. I got inspired about a month ago and made some clips. That's great, man. Well, hey, I came back after 15 years to finish a Pokemon project, Dark Gentleman, so, maybe you'll follow suit. Anyway, hope that gave you some insight, Vadix. Sorry for everyone else if that was a little too tangential. Hi, Brian Bebop, by the way, sorry. And hi, everybody tuning in. Hi, Bubba. Dark Minded Sith in 2025, yeah. What year is it? I know. Crazy. Anyway. Yeah, sometimes a game just doesn't click with people after. Yeah, sometimes things just aren't fun to make content out of, I was talking with Griffin Odin about this not that long ago. Like, sometimes when you're a creator, there's this sense of, like, everything has to... I gotta make content out of everything. And it's like, you can just enjoy some things on your own, Most games I wouldn't Let's Play. Good to see you too, Bubba. Hope you're doing alright. Unreal Man, not sure what direction life's taking you, but excellent to hear from you. I'd like to think it's the right direction. I'd like to think it's a positive direction. But I've been hopeful before, so. Anyway. Someone mentioned you resemble a young Andrei Arlovsky. I've never gotten that, and I don't know who that is. If you can live your life without an audience, I encourage you to do so, Bo Burnham. Yeah. Well, in that case, I'll see you guys later. No. Love hearing what you talk about, what you know and are passionate about. It's really insightful. Well, I hate to inform you of this, Brian, but that is nothing. So. Anyway, I was talking about Nintendo Capri Sun earlier. Actually, I've got some more people in here now. Griff's here, a few other people are here. Someone asked me earlier if I still talk to a couple of people. Nintendo Capri Sun got mentioned. I also mentioned that like 10 years ago, he and I started a Let's Race of Banjo-Kazooie. When the whole Versus thing was kind of getting momentum. And we got to Clinker's Cavern, and he realized he wasn't recording the whole time. And we were like, crap. And so we just stopped it, and then we just never went back to it. So that was fun. Yeah, that sucked. Anyway, around that time, I want to try to make sure I communicate this as it was. I don't want to oversell it or anything. Okay. But he sort of non-invited me to be on the Runaway Guys. Nothing crazy. Okay, it wasn't like, hey, come be with us. I'll talk to blah 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 blah. It was mostly because Chugga actually doesn't live very far from me. Like I think at the time he lived in like Conyers, which is like an hour and 45 minutes from where I live, and I guess they would do the Runaway Guys at his house, and they would sometimes have like a fourth guest. And I think because I had lived not that far, and we were already kind of doing stuff, he invited me, not even really invited me, just kind of threw out the idea that could be a possibility, you know. So the point I'm making here is I could have been on the Runaway Guys, and I could have exploded, and then I wouldn't be talking to any of you right now, because I would be so famous that you guys would be like just gnats, and I wouldn't be able to keep up with anything. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, I'll talk. I'll talk about Pokemon LeafGreen. Actually, it's probably about time. I was willing to also just keep this kind of chill too. Like I didn't want to just get too on topic. I figured people are willing to. It's been so long. People are willing to just show up and catch up a little bit, and that's fine. I'm glad you stayed with us, little people. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry. Nothing like that would have happened. And I really don't even think, even if I ended up being on like the Runaway Guys, like I don't think I would have like exploded or anything. Do I remember Exit Tyler? I do. Something particularly negative happened that I don't quite want to get into on here. You can message me if you're curious, but it's not something I want to talk about right here. It's okay. It's just not something I really want to get into. But to answer your question, I do remember. That's the short answer, yes. That's what I'll say. Anyway. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, like, you know, what if, you know. But anyway, it's one of those things, you know. I could have been one of the Beatles, you know. That's that whole thing. That's okay, Jose. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Pokemon LeafGreen. So, okay. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the history of that project as much, if a lot of people here are familiar with it. But I'll talk about it at least a little bit, just in case there's people here who kind of came on board later and maybe didn't watch it as much. But just to go into a little bit of history on it. So 2008, 2009, I did a couple of Let's Plays, and around the time of finishing Banjo-Kazooie in the spring of 2009, I was looking at my next project, and I started to get a little bit of different inspiration, and I was trying to look at to kind of like maybe a different approach I could take, something a little more creative I could do. I started getting some inspiration from like some people like Zach Legomaniac, for instance. He did a Let's Play of Tonic Trouble, and that's pretty legendary among some of the old school Let's Play folks. I know Griff and Shots and a couple of others are pretty big fans of his. But he, excuse me, he kind of had this approach with Tonic Trouble, where it was almost like the main character and him almost like had a relationship of sorts. They kind of like talked back and forth, and I kind of liked that idea, you know. It seemed like not a lot of people really did that, and it was kind of like a cool little niche idea that I kind of wanted to take and kind of build upon that maybe a little bit further. Still among the funniest unsung Let's Players in history. Yeah, he was great, man. He was legendary. What's up, Cougar? Welcome. That's cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, I remember TM and Blue and all those guys. You know, don't think I've talked to either of them in like probably a couple of years or so. But they're all cool guys, you know. They're all cool. Anyway, and I was also kind of getting back into Pokemon at the time. I hadn't really been into Pokemon a long time. Like, I think the last game I had played was Gold. I didn't play Gen 3 or 4 or any of those. I didn't even know about Fire Red and Leaf Green until Matt Maloney Presents was Let's Playing it. Who did this kind of bonkers Let's Play of that game that he never finished. But it's like over 100 parts. It is very classically like 2008 Let's Play. Like, talking about the game like 2% of the time. And the rest of the commentary is just random stuff that happened that weekend or something, you know. And it kind of exposed me to that game. I was kind of like, I kind of want to play Pokemon again. It's been a long time. I've never really played the remakes. These look kind of cool. It seemed like people always were doing Fire Red, but a lot of people didn't really do Leaf Green. I guess because Fire's cooler and Charizard's cooler or something. But I let a couple pass by me. Yeah, it seems to happen to a lot of people. Like, they let a couple generations pass by them. They get a little burned out, and then they come back to it like a few years later or so. So I was kind of looking into wanting to play that again, and then I kind of got some inspiration from all the people I just talked about and everything, and then I decided to make that my next project. And then, unfortunately, the hacking happened. But thankfully, Pokemon Leaf Green is the only project I have that went like completely unscathed. Pretty much. The hacking happened like right when that project had started, so all those videos were still just on my computer. I was like 6 parts in or so, or 5 parts in roughly. So that whole project is like the only thing I really have from around that time that's just intact completely. So anyway, the idea was to kind of take a different approach to Let's Playing, do something more like comedic, do something more skit-based, with some more writing involved, more character-driven, not just like a typical walkthrough or something like that. And I always liked the idea. It was always something that it was something I really sat on that I enjoyed. But unfortunately, that particular year, there was a lot of setbacks with my computer, basically. Yeah, if you want an idea how bad the laptop was, running a Game Boy Advance game was difficult. And, I was just using Movie Maker. I had one microphone problem after another that year. It was like, I had no money, so I just had to buy like the cheapest crap possible. Like, every microphone I got broke very easily and quickly. So I always had to just kind of fall back on my built-in microphone, and it was just not great. And my laptop was just a tomato at that point. It was just like on its last legs. It was really going out at that point. If you go back to a lot of those Pokemon Leaf Green videos, like the audio quality is just pretty lousy. Like you just kind of hear like this, like kind of like the whole time, just because I was just using my laptop built-in mic, because that's all I just really had, you know. And editing it just kind of sucked. You know, doing a lot of those Pokemon projects was kind of just a pain in editing, because there's so much stuff to off-screen, and you know, I had like audio desync problems I was constantly having to fix, and I was also doing reduxes at the time. So there was just a lot of bandwidth, you know, with me at the time. Like it got to where I liked a lot of the ideas of the project, but it was just a complete chore to do. And no matter what I came up with, it was like sitting down in the whole process. It was just a pain to sit down and do any of it. And that kind of carried on for a while. And so most of the project going into like most of 2009 and going into 2010, it got to where the project it was just really tough to do. I really tried to keep it alive, but just all the computer problems I had and everything, it got to where, like it was just a pain making that project after a while. Yeah, I've got Discord. You guys can add me on there however you want. I don't have Twitter anymore. I'll you guys can contact me and everything. However you guys want to do it, it's fine. Link and email, yeah. Well, I'll be. I know this sounds like no, but yeah, I'll reach out to you. Don't worry. Yeah, I appreciate it, Shots. Yeah, I was really stretching myself then. And yeah, as you pointed out, Liv, that is true. Going into 2010, I ended up getting a new laptop. I ended up getting a Dazzle, and those were like pretty big game changers. It was like, wow, I have stuff that works. And also, because it was a new laptop, actually the built-in microphone was decent. At least at the time. If you go back and watch the videos now, I don't know, it might sound terrible. But from what I remember at the time, like, it's like just flipping on my laptop and just recording with the built-in mic, like it sounded fine. And it was just there. It was already in the laptop. So I was like, well, I'm just going to roll with that. So at that point, I mean, I had Pokemon Leaf Green, but I was also sitting on 2 reduxes that had been going on for a while. And I was really burned out. I got to the point where I was like, man, now that I've got the new laptop, I've got a Dazzle, like, I just want these reduxes done so I can just focus on this other stuff. It'll be nice to have one project again. Burning through shitty little mics, spaghetti noodle cords was an essential part of the internet video experience back then. Yep, you had to have crappy microphones that you got at Walmart that had some brand name you'd never heard of. Then after like 3 weeks, sorry guys, no videos this week. My microphone quit working. Sad face, you know. You all were there. You were there. Link for Discord. I'm still sitting on what I want to do with that. because I do have a Discord. Actually, I have like a Discord that's years old. I made it in like 2020 or 2019 or something. But once the Puerto Rico started to take off, I just kind of shifted everything over there. But I know like linking just a Discord isn't there's some issues with that, like bots and stuff. Anyway, people can add me on Discord at least for now. Just my regular username because you don't have to do that hashtag 3323 kind of crap anymore. And I'm gonna get that sorted out. That is Grommet. That is original Blorath. Great eye. Great eye. That is Grommet indeed. Please stop watching this stream and watch the Shaun the Sheep movie. Please. If you have not seen the Shaun the Sheep movie, you do not need to be watching this stupid, terrible stream. I saw that movie again with my mom and my sister a couple nights ago. And I really think it might be a masterpiece, honestly. I really think it might be. Almost every time I bring it up to people, they're like, no, I've never seen it. It is an ear-to-ear grin from beginning to end, please. Sorry, wife distracted me. Yep. There you go, guys. Look at that. Dark Gentleman's Found Love. Dark Gentleman's Found Love. So, you know, if we can start out shirtless, screaming at Pokemon Yellow, you know, we can all find happiness in life, guys. Okay. Okay. Real quick, Dark Gentlemen's. I do have to ask for clarity here. I don't know if anyone's going to know this, but it's fine. I just got to ask. You always played this song in your Let's Plays. I feel like everybody thought that was you singing the theme song to Pokemon. But if I remember correctly, that was not you, right? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard that heavy metal version of the theme song before. Because you always opened the Let's Play with like this like really loud heavy metal version of the Pokemon theme song. It was like, I wanna be the very best. But was it you? Was it actually just you singing it? Because I mean, they did Lollipop too, I think. You might have to clarify. Because that was always funny to me. Like, everybody thought that was you singing that. And I was like, it was not you. Okay, so I was right about that. Okay. So that's what I thought. Because I feel like that heavy metal version of the Pokemon theme song, I was like, I feel like I have heard that before. Like somewhere else. But what's funny is like everybody just thought that was you singing that because that was just so your personality, and it really, I mean, I don't blame them. It really did just sound like it was you. But that was pretty funny. Anyway, sorry for anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about. I just had to get clarity on that because I always wonder that because everybody was like, oh, you know, that intro you did so funny. I'm like, I don't think that's him. I think that's another band that sings that. Yeah, that's cool though that you got a kid and a wife and everything in that order, of course. No. So anyway, it's 2010. and the Affordable Care Act passes, and the iPad comes out, and then I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with anything. No. Anyway, so I've got the Reduxes. I'm like, I've got a laptop. I've got the Dazzle. I'm just gonna get these daggum Reduxes done once and for all, and then I can focus on Pokemon Leaf Green. And so I finished Banjo-Kazooie's Redux. I finished Ocarina of Time's Redux. And then I'm like, okay, now I can just do Pokemon Leaf Green. And around that time of the game is where you're basically just going to the rock tunnel. Like that's the next part of the game. Because I had left off after Lieutenant Surge. So you just had you had a route with a bunch of trainers, then you had the rock tunnel. And I just kind of sat on that like, God, what do I do with this? I got nothing. I had nothing to say about this. And so I just kind of didn't know what to do. I struggled with writer's block with that. So I was like, all right, well, okay. So I just kind of sat on it, and I said, like, let's just not stress out over it. Ideas will come to me when they do. Let's just do something else for now. So I just did like Mario Party 2, and I started Majora's Mask. And I think what ended up happening at that point is I just loved doing Majora's Mask, and then I got into 2011, and it just kind of seemed like the more time went on, the less I missed Pokemon Leaf Green. Like, it never really left, but I never found myself like, man, I really missed that project, man. I really want to go back and play that game again. Like, once I was doing Majora's Mask and just focused on one project, like I literally liked doing that. And I found I just didn't miss Leaf Green very much at all. So I think the more time went on, the less I felt inclined to even do anything with it. So I think eventually I just kind of said, whatever. There's no point stressing out over it. I mean, it is what it is. If I come up with some ideas one day, I'll revisit it. But for now, let's just do what I want to do, and the content that's making me happy. I mean, I'm gonna make the most. I'm gonna make the best content out of doing just what I enjoy. So then years went on and years went on, and the truth is, Leaf Green never really left. It almost became kind of infamous in a way as this project that people like, that it just kind of sat there and never came back. So I never completely gave up on it. There was always this part of me that was like, who knows? Maybe if I can like take a different approach or something, maybe I'll go back and do something with it. And then like after a lot of years had gone on, like 5-10 years went on, it was kind of like maybe if I go back now, I could do something like really explosive, some crazy like live action thing or something. Yeah, a nice long hallway. Now that's content. Majora's Mask felt like a little bit of a comfort project. Yeah, Majora's Mask, it ended up being a really popular game to Let's Play for a lot of people. And it makes sense because it has a lot of emphasis on side quests, and I think a lot of games feel like very walkthrough like all right, we're going to go to this location. All right, next time we're going to keep walking to that location. All right, next time we're going to make more progress. I think Majora's Mask, it feels a lot more like episodic in a lot of ways. It's almost anthology-like, kind of, when you do that Let's Play. Not completely, but it feels like there's the locations change a lot, the characters change a lot. You know, I can do an episode in the Milk Bar. Now I can do an episode with the Gerudos. Now I can do an episode over here with the Gorons. Now I can go meet the Beavers. You know, it felt like things were just changing all the time in that game, and there was just always room for material with that game. Whereas some Zelda games feel like, you know, it takes like 5 episodes just to travel up a mountain or something. All right, Dark Gentlemen's, great to hear from you, man. And take care. Good to hear from you. Glad you're doing well. Don't be a stranger, I guess. Take care to you and your wife and your family and everybody. Have a good Memorial Day. Rotations, everything helps keep it streamlined. Yeah. I feel like there was always kind of material to play around with. Whereas even games I love, like Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time, you know, it would get to where it was like, I don't know what else to say about this place. I've been here for 3 videos, you know. When are you going to play Bebe's Kids? Oh, yeah. Bebe's Kids is a classic Super Nintendo game. Look, if they make a, I'll tell you what, if they make a live action, if they make a live action remake of Bebe's Kids, I will let's play the Super Nintendo game or stream it. Remember when Jeff Lars got arrested for arson? Yep, I sure do. Yep. It was that Let's Player that got arrested for arson. So I was pretty creatively bankrupt. But then something kind of good happened. I started watching somebody years back who has become a pretty good acquaintance of mine. And that is Datai, or Vitamin Datai. Great content creator. He's pretty much retired now. You know, he never called his projects Let's Plays, but he did commentated playthroughs. But he always did very good videos. Very insightful playthroughs of games. Had some really good Pokemon playthroughs. As the years went on, I started to kind of buddy up with him. I started to watch his videos a lot and really respect his work and everything. And so he did, years back now, he did a project called Pokemon LeafGreen versus Blue. I don't know how many of you have ever watched him or if you're familiar with the project or anything. Well, it was actually kind of a sequel of sorts to another series he did. He did a series called Pokemon Heart Gold versus Crystal. And the idea for those playthroughs, it wasn't just like a kind of a basic compare and contrast between the games and the versions. The idea was more to play both versions with the same team and kind of showcase the differences in challenge. So he would showcase Leaf Green, he would showcase the original Pokemon Blue, and kind of show, you know, not just like, oh, and here's how Brock looks in this version, you know, but rather like, here's the strategy. Here's how the strategy is different. In this version, here's how I was able to beat him. but he's harder in this version because of these reasons, you know. And it was kind of a cool playthrough of sorts. He's not super satisfied with Heart Gold versus Crystal, because back then he was a little wrapped up in like showing everything, not like, you know, not like every battle or every encounter, but kind of treating it more like a walkthrough, and like if it's part of the game, I have to show it, you know. When he got to Pokemon Leaf Green versus Blue, he actually decided, like, I'm just going to do an abridged version of these games. I'm just going to show kind of the highlights, basically. So, rather than... So, I mean, whenever you do a Pokemon playthrough, I mean, there's, of course, plenty of things that people will cut out. Like, they won't show every battle. They won't show every encounter. But he actually kind of went further than that and said, like, I'm going to showcase highlights in challenge. And if there's an area of the game that I don't think is very interesting or really worth showing, I'm just going to skip it. So the playthrough is actually only 20 episodes. And it's just kind of a highlight reel of sorts. It's just an abridged series. It mostly focuses on like gym leaders and rival fights and notable notable Pokemon encounters. I mean, he'll show like the team members when he gets them. Any fights that are noteworthy. And anything that he thought just kind of like didn't really showcase the differences all that well in challenge, or wasn't too interesting or really worth showing, he just cut it out. He just didn't show it. So like he doesn't show the Viridian Forest. He didn't show Rock Tunnel. I don't think he showed like Seafoam Islands or Power Plant. Any of those kind of areas he just didn't bother with. Because it's like, well, there's just kind of nothing really there to show. So he cut it. And it ended up being a really enjoyable, cool idea and like a pretty well-paced series because of that. Because there's not like 15 videos of fighting Geodudes, you know. And unfortunately, back when I did Leaf Green, even though I was cutting content, of course, I wasn't showing every little battle. I wasn't showing every encounter. I was still kind of, in walkthrough mode, where I felt like if this is part of the game, I need to show it, at least in some way. This clearly isn't a walkthrough, but if it's like a mandatory part of the game, if it's there, it should be showcased. It's almost like not right to skip it. If I was to just get into Viridian City and then just skip to the Pewter Gym, it's almost like, well, hey, you skipped Viridian Forest, I was kind of in that mode back then. And I think the problem is it made the series a lot more difficult to do and a lot less fun to do, because it was like, well, I've got to make material out of everything. If there's a route with 20 trainers, if there's a cave with a bunch of Zubats, if there's a water route with a bunch of Tentacle, well, I got to show it. I got to make this funny somehow. Oh, here's a cave. Here's a hiker with Geodudes. What joke can I make? And if there's material there, if I come up with something, fine, great. But, looking back, it's like, man, there's not really a lot to work with there. So I think back then, if I would have taken that approach, the more abridged approach, and said, like, you know what, if there's nothing, if I've kind of got nothing, just don't show it. If the Rock Tunnel, there's nothing there, skip it, I think if I would have taken more of that approach, it would have made the project a lot more fun. So, Datai's approach was a little bit of a breath of fresh air. It kind of made me re-examine the idea of the project a little bit. Like, man, not only was he able to make a pretty cool series out of this, but he did it in 20 episodes. And it's also worth noting here. I'm not when I say 20 episodes, like they're pretty short too. You know, like I mean, I'm not talking like 50-minute videos or something. I mean, some of the videos are like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Like it's a pretty fast project to get through. Just because, like I said, it's a bridge. It just focuses on like what he thinks are highlights and things that are worth showing. Yeah, like Rock Tunnel. That was part of that was like one of the big jokes in the most recent video was I kind of thought, okay, the Rock Tunnel is like the first new area I'm showing now that the project's back, and I just basically didn't show it at all by just making it a dark location. That was kind of my approach. What I'm talking about here is like this is just the Rock Tunnel, so I just made a joke and then I moved on. Same with some of the other things. The rocket hideout. I made a few jabs at the little spinny puzzles, and then I showed Giovanni because there might. I mean, I don't know. There might have been a cool fight maybe somewhere in there, but it was mostly just Raticates and stuff. So, and so that helped a little bit, I think. My blue team was the weakest team member in Leaf. My ace in blue was the weakest team member in LeafGreen. Yeah. It's. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's cool to really see how those versions exist. He did LeafGreen versus blue in like 2016. So he actually did it before the Let's Go games came out. So I'm actually kind of curious if kind of how that series would work now if he was to do like Let's Go Pikachu versus Yellow or something like that. Like really look at how challenging a game like the Let's Go games are compared to Yellow. Because not only is there a further generational divide, but you now you have things like reusable TMs, which wasn't even in LeafGreen. So having like reusable TMs at your disposal compared to like Yellow, I'm really curious just how different the challenge aspect would be. All right, Vadix, I appreciate coming by and all the comments and questions. You're, a very strong contributor tonight. So thank you. Get some rest and keep in touch, and we'll see you on the horizon for more. Ended up doing it with Let's Go games as well, and the new ace was pretty weak in the originals. Yeah, trying to write a big video for the channel. I actually put effort into, and I ended up giving dry spark notes of the game, trying to cover every single obstacle. Yeah, and I kind of realized like just the video's still not out yet because I keep rewriting it. Yeah, sometimes you feel like you gotta like siphon material out of something that doesn't have material. Sometimes it's okay to kind of pick your battles a little bit. That's one thing too with making videos as far as Let's Plays and video game playthroughs and things like that is, I think for a lot of people, they get really wrapped up in this idea of like, because it's commentated, I've got to talk all the time. I've got to be commenting on something happening, or else the video is boring. And like the opposite's true, I think. there are times where you can let the game kind of just speak for itself a little bit. I mean, there's of course going to be like very notable parts of the game where you wouldn't want to be talking, if it's like a sad moment or something. But sometimes you can just kind of let the gameplay speak for itself a little bit, and you don't have to like fill that silence with commentary all the time, because it's not silence, and I think that's a mistake a lot of people run into. I even still have that problem sometimes. Sometimes I'm sitting there playing a game. If I'm streaming or something and I'm not really saying anything, I kind of think like, oh no, this is getting boring. I better say something. It's like, well, I mean, say something when it's worth saying, But humans, we're scared of silence. Gotta don't like awkward silence. Anyway, I apologize, Shots. You actually asked a couple things earlier that I haven't gotten back to yet. When you come across particular episodes of the anime or badges or particular major events in the anime, are you going to try to pivot and create a narrative similar to what you did with Lieutenant Surge? Or are you going to have some episodes loosely based off the anime, poking fun at how corny and stupid it is? I've thought about that a little bit. So I really haven't revisited the anime in a very long time. So probably no. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be more just focusing on the game and just the characters, and then just Ash. The anime maybe a little bit, but I'm not as sold on that idea maybe as much as I was. I like borrowing some elements to it as kind of like a tribute to it, but I'd kind of rather take my own approach, I guess, like make Blaine's character my own idea rather than just use who he was in the anime, I guess. I think this is more of a I'll figure it out when I get there kind of thing right now. But it's a possibility. The last team members, I'm not sure if I want to say just yet. You're welcome to make predictions. I'll throw a few hints if you want. There are like one or two team members that ended up kind of rotating a little bit. There was one Pokemon I ended up trying out a little bit, and I think I ended up kind of not sticking with him in favor of a few others. And is there a Vulpix? There is not a Vulpix, I'm afraid. So actually, I'll mention this because I think getting your predictions here might be interesting. So what I decided to do with the water type was I kind of sat and I thought, like, what water type do people not really seem to ever really use? And what water type do people kind of not seem to care about as much? Like, what water type out there is like, I mean, other than like a Magikarp, like, I was trying to think, like, people love Vaporeon, or they love Gyarados, or like just about every water. I mean, most Pokemon in Gen 1 are memorable because it's Gen 1. But I was trying to think, like, what is the, if I could come up with like the most obscure water type, who would it be? The water type that I think, like, if I got like 100 Pokemon fans in a room and they were all given a water type to pick, like, what would be like the water type people would least want to pick, or something like that. And I don't think there was any that I was like, oh yeah, people hate this Pokemon or something. But there was one I thought, like, I don't think people really care about this particular Pokemon that much. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe this Pokemon is like super popular, like competitively, or something. Um, but there was one I ended up going for that I was like, I don't see a lot of I don't see a lot of like, oh, this one's my favorite water type. You know? I tried to take that approach with water types because I was trying to go for like, that's part of why I picked like Clefable. Because I try not to pick Pokemon that I feel like I've just seen all the time, or ones that I know are just going to tank the game, like Arcanine or Gengar, or Alakazam, the handful of Pokemon that like you get a couple of them together, like you're fine. you're gonna do fine. I'm not talking people that are Pokemon that are just phenomenally terrible or something, but so I will say no one has guessed it. That's what I'll say. Sea King was a possibility, though. Sea King was one I considered. I did think a little bit like, man, who gives a crap about Sea King? who looks at all the water types in Pokemon? It's like, oh yeah, Goldeen and Sea King. That's my go-to. But then I know. But then I know. Isn't there like, there's like a Sea King meme or something, right? So I was like, maybe he's a little more used than I thought of. And Seadra's a little obscure, but actually in the LeafGreen versus Blue playthrough that I've been talking about, he actually used a Seadra. Thinking it was Staryu or Poliwag. I did want to use a Staryu for a little while, even just as a temporary team member, just because Starmie is a freaking boss Pokemon, honestly. Like, Starmie is great. You could probably get through. You might even just solo the game with a Starmie, honestly. Can learn water moves. It's part psychic. Can learn Thunderbolt. Yeah. Cool design, good type coverage. It's pretty balanced stats. It's got like decent defense, decent speed, takes hits really well. Like it's actually very good. I want to say Live, Shelter, and Cloyster are Fire Red exclusives, because I think Cloyster was also one I did consider. Maybe I'm wrong. Might have to double check. I want to say there was one I considered, and it was a Fire Red exclusive. Welcome in, Zachary. Who do you have winning the NBA Finals, bro? Also, are you going to do the AI Let's Plays? Unless you mean OWL Let's Plays. I don't know what any of these questions mean, Zachary. I'm sorry. I can answer neither of these questions. I'm sorry. Golduck's cool. I like Golduck. I will say that Brian is correct. With an earlier guess. You guys got it. Someone guessed it. Everyone prefers Psyduck to Golduck. Yeah, probably. He's probably more popular. He's more dopey. Almastar. Almastar ended up being not too bad. Yeah, he was. So yeah, in choosing like a water type that I thought like I don't see a lot of people use. I feel like a lot of people don't care about. Um, I ended up going with Almanite and Almastar. It could be I'm dead wrong about that. Maybe there's a lot of people who like the Almastar line. uh, maybe he's very popular competitively. I don't know. But I just kind of figured like he's one of the fossils, so you can't get him until Cinnabar Island. He doesn't evolve until level 40. So I'm like, there's so many other water types out there, and so many that I feel like are just like cooler and like by the time you're at Gym 7, I mean, who is starving for a water type on their team? And who is picking Ammonite? And, he hatches at like level 5. It's not like he comes out at like level 30 and you get him to level 40 and he's Amistar. I mean, he comes out at like level 5. So you gotta bait and switch him for a while. And then he's Amistar, and then he's got like a quadruple grass weakness, and so I kind of thought like, I don't know if people love this dude very much, so I'm gonna give him a shot. Everyone likes Gyarados and fish Pokemon. I'm gonna try like the guy in the shell. I don't think people. And I figured like between like Kabutops and Amistar, because I kind of thought the fossils a little bit too. I thought like, I can imagine more people probably think Kabutops is cooler than Amistar. So I went with Amistar. So spot for me in the lottery numbers. Yep, there you go. Let's see. The old grind is rough back in those games without cheats. Yeah. I'm not sure how bad it was in like Pokemon Blue or so with that, but yeah, it didn't end up being too bad because there was quite a lot of trainers and a lot to work with to get him up. And once he was around like level 27 or so, that's I can make him a team member and just work with him at that point. Plus, you've got like Giovanni's gym after that, and he has a lot of material there. So yeah, I went with him. I think he ended up being pretty good. So that ended up being this whole approach ended up being kind of a saving grace for LeafGreen. The idea of like, maybe I can do this project again if I don't get too wrapped up in the idea of like I gotta show everything. I gotta make material out of everything. Let's just play the game kind of normally. And if I can make material out of something, let's do that. And if not, let's don't bother with it. Let's cut it out. You can get them with 3 badges. Kabutops is definitely part of the rule of cool. Yeah, I think so. Personally. So I ended up kind of sitting on that for a while. But then at that point, like years had gone on, I was kind of just out of the content making scene for a while. And then streaming came along, and I was, doing a lot of stuff with Griff and our Discord. So I just, the idea of like going back to LeafGreen, maybe doing something more abridged, I kind of sat on that for a while, but I, it kind of got to where I was like, I like the idea, but I'm like, are people really going to care that much anymore? Like, are people really doing Let's Plays now? It seems like a lot of people are migrating to streaming. Like, would it really be worth it at this point? So much time has gone on. So I still kind of just sat on it, but it never really left, I don't think. And so I guess the idea just kind of sat there for a while and never really left. And then now we get into probably about this year. This year marked the 15-year anniversary, if you will, since I had updated the project. And that got me thinking about it again. Going into this year, because I was like, wow, it's been 15 years. Wow, maybe I could, some ideas started swirling around again. Like, now that it's been so long, I mean, 15's like such a base 5 number, maybe going back now might be kind of cool. Maybe doing the abridged approach, that might help, So I also ended up with this idea. I did actually get some material for it. It was something I did play with a little bit. I was really going to do, but I ended up not doing it. I actually thought about doing a remake of the 13th episode of the project, because a lot of people seem to like that episode, and it's been like 15 years. So I kind of thought, like, to celebrate the 15-year anniversary of that particular episode, what if I did an updated remake of it? One, to kind of like play around creatively and see where the project goes, but also the other reason I kind of had the idea is that that particular video is kind of hard to watch now, because I used a webcam at the time, and it was just really bad quality. Like, it's very, very grainy. I know it's like, oh, well, it's 2010 video, but like, really, even for then, it's pretty bad. It's not just like smeary. I mean, it's really bad quality. To me, it's almost unwatchable. Because the video itself just looks so bad. So I thought in a way, like, it's kind of a shame, because people kind of like this video. It's kind of got some fun ideas in there, but it's kind of just not good to watch now. So I kind of liked the idea of, what if I just took this and redid it again, and kind of just surprised everybody, like, hey, it's back, but it's a remake. Yeah, the bad quality really adds a bit to it. Yeah, I can see that too. I think people would understand that. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna go back to that video and be like, "Wow, this really looks bad." Yeah, I mean, people. It's pretty apparent if a video's old, And I kind of didn't like the idea of, like, the way I returned to that project as a remake. It was kind of a fun little idea. Maybe I'll even do it, like, as an epilogue or something. And I would probably, like, still change it a little bit. It wouldn't just be like a shot-by-shot remake. I wouldn't Gus Van Sant psycho it or anything. I would probably change some things here and there. And that would be kind of like part of the fun, is to sort of George Lucas it, I guess. Pokemon LeafGreen LP Blu-ray remaster. Yeah, there you go. So it was kind of a fun idea, but I was like, I don't really want to revisit this project. Like if this project's gonna come back, I want it to really come back, properly. But it did kind of get me thinking about it again, and then not too long ago, as some of you might have been there, you might have be aware of it. Griffin Lobster and Odin Spack and I, we did a just chatting stream like 3 weeks ago or so, going on a month now ago. We did a farewell to Skype stream. As you might know, Skype shut down at the beginning of this month, and I thought it might be fun to do like one last call on Skype, since Skype was such a integral part of our relationship for so long, and it brought so many people together from the Let's Play scene. And it ended up being like kind of like a fun little flashback. It really kind of took me back to those days. It kind of got me nostalgic. It kind of got me just... It tickled those creative juices a little bit. It made me kind of want to, it inspired me a little bit. It was kind of cool. It was like the band playing again, and Odin kind of inspired me a little bit too, because like Griffin Lobster and I, we've very much have been very sporadic with making content over our time here on YouTube. We would make content and then we'd go away for a while, then we'd come back, and then we'd go away for a while, then we'd go away for like years, and stuff like that. But man, Odin, like, I don't know any kind of drought he's really ever had with making content for like almost 17 years now on YouTube or Twitch or wherever it is. Like, I mean, he still does stuff all the time. He's still making projects on YouTube. He's still streaming. And it's not like he ever like exploded or anything, I mean, he's got like 8,000 subscribers or something, which, I mean, that's great. But yeah, I mean, he's not like Nintendo Capri Sun or one of those people, he quite got the audience that some of the other people who started doing it back then got. But he is stuck with it, and he still does it. And I mean, you watch his content now and you just feel like nothing's changed. You never get a sense that he's burned out, or like he's just doing this now just like it's just on life support. Like man, isn't he must be bored to death with this now or something. Like the Odin you watch now feels like the Odin I watched like 15 years ago. Like, he just likes doing this. He likes the community he has. And my audience, there's a lot of you guys, like a lot of people here tonight who just never really left. There's a lot of people I go back and I might pick up an old video of theirs here and there, or there might be people that I used to watch, and it's like they're just kind of like a shell of them former selves, or they've just kind of like, they're just dust in the wind, like they're almost forgotten now. And I mean, a lot of my audience is definitely gone, but I've still got people. I can do a live discussion like this, and there's still people that show up. There's still people that ask about certain projects. There's still people that comment. There's still people that go to old projects and they're like, I remember this game and things like that. Or I remember watching this, and I kind of figured, like, why? Like, why, if I have an audience, there's an interest here, I've got creativity in here that, I want to do something with it. Like, why let my why let all this wilt? Why let this all just collect dust? Let's do something with it. Let's let's cook. Let's cook. What's up, Lich? Why are you filming in 4:3? I don't know. I turned on the webcam. It did what it did. I didn't think a lot of it. VM Varga would be a big fan of yours. I sure hope so. Because if everyone in the world hated my content, but only VM Varga liked it, then that's all that would matter. So, and yeah, Odin's great. So, all of this kind of happened. And then I also kind of just got an itching to play LeafGreen again, because I've actually never finished the game. Back when I was playing it for my project, that was my first time really playing the game. And where I left off is where I left off in my only playthrough of that game. So I've still had never just played Fire Red or LeafGreen for myself, really. So I kind of got an itching to just play the game again. So it all kind of came together at that point. And I said, like, let's just record some gameplay and see what happens. So I got around to the part where I left off. I kind of got a new team together. I got around the rock tunnel and the Lavender Town area, and I just started recording some gameplay. And I got some footage together, and I kind of just said, like, what can I make with this? And a lot of the ideas came together, and I ended up coming up with something that I felt pretty happy with. And I was like, this has actually been really fun to do. It's almost like these past couple of weeks that I've been working on the video and revisiting this project and everything, it's felt a lot like I'm able to now make the Pokemon LeafGreen I kind of always wanted to, which people kind of say that a lot about when they make content. It's like, now that I have this technology, or now that I have this or this, I can finally make what I want to make. I can make the videos I want to make. I can finally make the movies I want to make, in a lot of ways it feels that way, because my techniques are better now. The software's so much better now. Using like DaVinci Resolve for editing and Photoshop. I didn't have any of that back then. I didn't have any of those skills back then. I just used Movie Maker, which wasn't terrible, but it was, about as bare bones as you can get with a video editor. And it was very limiting, and playing around with DaVinci Resolve and everything that I can do in it, it feels like, man, like this is really what I wanted to do all those years ago. Like, if I would have had all this back then, like, man, I don't think the project ever would have just sat there for 15 years. I think I would have continued it, because it would have been fun to do, actually. And Photoshop's a lot better than Paint, and the audio quality, and the technology I have, just everything's just better now. And it feels like, man, I can actually make the project that I wanted to make all those years ago, and I can actually just have fun editing this freaking thing. Because it was genuinely sitting down and making episode 14. It was a really good time. Getting the material together, getting the ideas together, editing it. Like, I had none of that when I did the first 13 episodes. It was just a pain to do those episodes back then, with how limiting everything was. and to be able to
genuinely sitting
make LeafGreen with what I have on hand now, it's like, man, I can actually make this project now. um, and man, it's actually like fun to do. It's fun to play this and come up with ideas, and I feel like I have a lot more creative freedom. Actually, somebody asked earlier about the 10-minute time limit. Yeah, Brian, you asked about that. I think I overlooked that. It was the roughly 10-minute time limit for videos a boon or a bane for you back then? I think back then it was mostly a bane. I think. I think it did feel mostly limiting. I do think there was a lot of value in having to condense your content into 11 minutes. I think there was a lot of mileage you could get out of 11 minutes. That really did depend on the game, of course. When you have like longer games or RPGs, games that are very cutscene heavy, 11 minutes was very limiting back then for a lot of people. I think when 15 minutes came along, that felt about right. I think, of course, then when they got rid of that, everyone was like, yay, hour-long videos, and it was like, well, now we're doing what we probably would have done all along, to be honest. But yeah, I think I can mostly speak on behalf of when I made videos back then. I think the 10 to 11 minute time limit definitely felt way more limiting back then. I always felt like, maybe not always, but way more often than not, I felt like I didn't cover as much as I wanted to each episode. It always felt like I had to wrap things up around the 11-minute time. Around, like, I was having to wrap the video up at a time I didn't want to. I think in a way it did inhibit making kind of decently paced series. I think 15 minutes felt about right. 15 minutes came along for me. It was around second half of 2010, I think. I was in like the Spirit Temple of Ocarina of Time in the Redux, I think, when 15 minutes came along. And I think just having that extra couple of minutes to cover a little bit more material, it did help. Because I do think 11 minutes felt pretty limiting. Especially when you're trying to have like a pretty decently paced series. The Conjopi crap, that sounds about right, Liv. Because remember how in like 2006, if you set your channel as a director, you could upload hour-long videos. Yeah, I remember that, and those people were always like warriors on YouTube. Like it kind of blew people away when people did that. I remember Calbrains was one of those people. He would have like a 40-minute long Persona part in like 2009, and it was like, man, I was like so jealous of that, And yeah, I remember too, like Cypheron when he did Banjo-Tooie back in 2008. Like, man, like I swear, Grunny Industries is like 13 episodes or something. Like it's good lord, like that gives you a sense of the 11-minute limitation. where one world in Banjo-Tooie
Yeah, I remember
was like 13 episodes or something. And I mean, it was blind, so it was a lot of wandering around, not knowing what to do, um, compared to like just a strict walkthrough of somebody knowing exactly what to do. Even then, though, it probably would have
that gives you a sense of the
been pretty. It would have made for a lot of videos, I think. I was actually wondering recently. I can actually ask this on the subject. I sometimes wonder a little bit, like how long. I think about like really long games now. This dungeon will explode in 5 minutes. Yeah. I think about really long games now and like the idea of let's playing them back in
I was actually wondering recently.
the 2008, 2009 days or so with 11-minute time limits.
Sometimes wonder a little
And just how long some of those projects would have been, like Persona 5, for instance. You know, that game averages probably like 95 hours.
I think about
So you can do the math. I won't do it because I don't feel like it, but. And I'll probably end up doing it wrong and I'll feel embarrassed. But, yeah. Think about like a 95-hour game, which would maybe be a little bit slower too, because you know, if you're doing a let's play, you would have to stop and kind of talk. Yeah, Persona 5 Royal took me 140 hours on my first playthrough. Yeah, and also when you look at the average hours of a playthrough in that case, you know, it's generally going to be longer if you're like let's playing it because you're having to stop and explain a lot of things. You're not playing it as casually.
you're doing a let's play.
So take a 95-hour game or a 100-hour game and even probably like pack a couple of hours onto that
Also,
when you add in like explaining game mechanics or talking,
generally going to be longer if you're
kind of talking down a boss fight strategy or something like that.
playing it as casual. To take a 95-hour
I can't even imagine how long that would be. I think Chugga Conroy's
game,
Xenoblade 2
pack a couple of hours
Let's Plays like over 200 episodes or something.
explaining game
And that's, I mean, that would be like a couple of year old project or something.
boss fight strategy.
Dear Lord, I swear it would probably be like 400 or 500 episodes, I think. Maybe even more.
I think Chugga Conroy's
Um,
Xenoblade 2
anyway, it would be a lot.
let's plays like over
So,
100 episodes or something.
so that is Pokemon Leaf Green. That's kind of the story behind it. That's kind of where
I swear it would probably be
the project came from. That's the history behind it. That's all the kind of hiccups that came along the way, and I hope that gives you a little bit of insight on kind of where the project came from and why I decided to resurrect it, actually. I don't want to talk a lot about plans for the project and things like that, but I figure I'll share a few things. So, as of right now, the goal is about 25 episodes. If I'm planning it correctly, I think it's going to be 25 episodes total. Because like I've been talking about, it's going to be a lot more abridged. I'm just going to cover kind of key areas, things that I think are worth showing, things that I think I can make a lot of material out of, but I'm not going to show every little thing. So if I'm looking at it correctly, you've got gym leaders, Elite Four. So I want to say, oh yeah, Liv, sorry, you asked about part 15 earlier. I've still got some more work to do on 15. It might be like maybe a few days to a week before part 15, I think. Because I did want people to kind of sit on 15 or part 14 for a little bit, just to kind of take in the return for a little bit. Then I wanted to do this as well. So I'm thinking 15 will be Erica in Celadon City, and some of the surrounding material there. And then 16 will be Koga and some of the surrounding material. I might include some parts of the cycling road, maybe some stuff in the safari zone. But cycling road probably won't be covered extensively, and I imagine a lot of like the Silent Bridge area and all that is probably not going to be covered at all. Then after that will be the Sylph Corporation. I did film the fighting dojo. I don't think I'm really going to show that. But then, yeah, 15 Erica, 16 Koga. 17 will be Sylph Corporation, which will have Rival Fight and Giovanni Fight. And then 17, 15, 16, 17... 18 will be Sabrina, maybe some surrounding areas. 19 will be Blaine with some content from the Pokemon Mansion. Not a lot with encounters, but there's some cool lore in there. I mean, it's got the Mew and Mewtwo stuff in there, and that's kind of cool. I'll probably show some of that, and then Blaine. Then 20 will be Giovanni. I might do the on the way to Victory Road rival fight. I might put that in there too. And then 21 through 24 will be each Elite Four member. Because I'll probably just make each Elite Four member their own video. I mean, theoretically you could like pack. Nowadays, you could pack the whole Elite Four into like an hour-long video or something. I don't want to do that though. Figure just making each member his or her own video. I'd rather just do it that way. It's a lot better. It's more streamlined. Each video can be more character focused. So 21 through 24 will be each Elite Four member. And then 25 will be the finale. That's the planned finale. That'll be, of course, the final rival fight, the ending, credits, etc., project closing. And with that, it'll make it a nice, even 25 episodes, which is, ends up being kind of a good number. I mean, who cares? It's a number. But as a society, we like base 0, base 5 numbers. We like top 5s and top 10s and top 25s and top 100s. Spoilers. I know I just spoiled the whole project. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. That was all a lie. I'm gonna cover everything. It's gonna be 100 parts. How about that? I'm going to be like Matt Maloney Presents in his Let's Play of Fire Red back in the day where he didn't cut out anything. I don't think he cut out like anything. Every encounter, every fight, I think he left every last bit of it in. He got to like episode 108 or something. He never finished it. I think he got to like Seafoam Islands or something. Somewhere around there, never finished it. Even though I'm sure we're about the same age, I'll mention young Brian would be giddy at the idea of chatting with you like this. Really loved your stuff back in the day and still do. Well, thank you, Brian. That's awesome to hear. Did you go by a different username back then? Or a different identity or anything? Because sometimes people do rebrand themselves, or they just go by a different display name, like way down the road. I end up talking to them for like 3 hours, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I was so and so." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was talking to you the whole time."
Did you go by a different username?
Yeah, because I noticed the way your name is written here. You know, you might have went by like, I don't know, WoW for Life 39 back then or something. I don't know. Sometimes I enjoy Let's Plays that include everything. Other times I prefer them to cut that stuff out. Depends on the person. Yeah, depends on their style, kind of what they're going for. Some people are very like informative and walkthrough driven. If I was very walkthrough driven, like, and this was that kind of project, I think I would feel more inclined to. I mean, of course, cut out things I didn't think was interesting, but I'd maybe want to show people how to get through the rock tunnel or how to navigate Seafoam Islands or something like that. But based on what I'm going for here, if I, you know, the project's not really about that. So, I don't comment much ever, but I think I stayed Brian something or other. So first time caller, long time listener type deal. I gotcha. Yeah. Some people do that. You know, they kind of like passively support. They're kind of like 15-year long lurkers, if you will. I mean, that's cool. You know, people, as long as people are, they can support however they want to support. You know. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else to talk about or mention about the project. There will be some voice acting on my part. I'm also going to get a few people along the way. I want to include as many people as I can. But I'm going to try to do that. There will be a mix of kind of like fun comedic material, but it is going to be a little informative too. I'm going to try to talk about. I mean, I'm not. It's not going to be so much like Victory Bell is grass poison, so he's weak to psychic and fire. I mean, not so much like that, you know. But I will share like kind of like interesting trivia or just fun little things that I think are worth talking about or notable about the area or the Pokemon or the trainers, things like that. I'm going to try to talk about things that I think are worth sharing. But I understand it's the project being it's not really a walkthrough, and I'm going to try to treat it as such. I'm going to try not to talk a lot about like, here's the best way to beat Giovanni, you know, which is to use Surf. But, you know, I'm not really going to make it like, if you're having trouble with Lance, try this. It's not really that. Yeah, light and fun, basically. Never commented much, but I used to watch you, Odin, Shots Rocks, Shadow Mario 41, Griff back in the day. Maybe some others, can't remember right now. That's cool, Lich. Thank you. Yep, those are all people. I didn't watch Shadow Mario quite as much, but he's cool. I watched him kind of here and there. I've met him actually. I hung out with him for a little bit. Long time ago. I went to my first convention. But I think he's like a math teacher now, I want to say. I'll try not to reveal too much because I don't know what all he wants people to know. But that's as much as I'll say. And I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, you can ask. But around this time, I think I'm probably going to start wrapping it up now. You can ask, you know, if there's anything you want to know about the project, any other questions. I think he said he was teaching and quit YouTube. Yeah, most of those people, I think, kind of moved on. Especially the ones who just never really kind of got the momentum as some of the other people did. Yeah, I think he's a math teacher, I want to say. I don't know what Slim Kirby does. I think he's like probably computer, like IT stuff, if I had to guess. I think he was a computer science major, I want to say. Are you not interested in just streaming video games? Do you mean making content outside of video games in general? Or do you mean something else? Because the LeafGreen project here is something that's not a stream. But I think you might be asking, am I interested in content other than video games, maybe? You had one bit in your Ocarina of Time Redux that stuck with me over the years. It was just a great skull montage with piano piece. I really loved that. I remember you had to change the song, I think. Yeah, I appreciate that. Looking back, I probably didn't even really had to change it. I was looking into like a partnership at the time, and any kind of like content ID match on any of my videos, I was trying to get rid of that. I think they were like, you can't have copyright. I think music ID matches probably would have been okay. I think it was more like strict copyright, like a copyright claim, like a strike, I think is more what they meant. But I was still trying to purge my channel of anything that was considered any form of copyright status. And I had a song in that. I want to say, I don't know if I did anything with that video where I kept the montage. I might have just cut it out. I don't know if I changed the song to something that was not copyright, or if I just cut the montage out. I might have just cut it out completely. I know I did that with the one video that had the waterfall montage, which I probably could have picked a different song or something, but I was probably just trying to. It's probably just easier to do it that way. Yeah, I think it's called Every Day by something. Which means streaming while you play a game. Oh, I see what you mean, Lich. You mean am I more interested in this and not streaming? That's what you're asking. No, I'd still like to stream, actually. I've been getting some of that together. I actually made a few stream elements. I made like a starting soon screen and a be right back screen. I made a few things like that. I've got a few games in mind I think I might want to cover. But then when the LeafGreen thing kind of came along, that's kind of taken up a lot of my my energy. Not my energy, I guess, but it's kind of been front and center. So I might want to focus a little more on this for now, but I haven't departed from streaming. That's something I am interested in. I've got a Twitch folder on my computer with quite a bit of stuff in it. Everyday Carlo Commando. That's it. I went to buy it on iTunes back in the day after your video. Yeah. Yeah, good piece of music. Did you ever see the video that really popularized that song? It was it was one of the like earliest viral videos. It was like a guy who took a picture of himself every day for like 6 years. and then he put it together in a montage. I want to say he has stuck with that project ever since. He's gone back and done it in a few different intervals. Okay, yeah, I think his name's Noah Kalina. Actually, I'm willing to bet if you search that song on YouTube right now, Brian, his video will probably be one of the top results. Because it really popularized that song, I think, because he used that song with the montage. Yeah, it's this guy Noah. I think Noah Kalina is his name. He's a photographer. Yeah, and from like 2000 to 2006, he took I guess you'll say a selfie. He took a photo of himself every single day for 6 years. And he made a video out of it in 2006, which that was around the time YouTube was taking off and viral videos were becoming a thing, you know. So he had this video of this it was sort of like a time lapse of him just getting older very slowly in the 2006 to 2000 to 2006 range. And he used that song. And I want to say he has stuck with that project, and he's since updated it in a few different intervals. So I think he went back. I think he did a 2012 version where it was like a photo of himself every year, every day for another 6 years. So it was like 2006 to 2012, and then I think he did a 20-year one. I want to say. So it was like 2000 to 2020 or something. Because he's a photographer, so it's just been a project he's done for a long time. But it's pretty crazy. You should wear the Goku mask the whole time you stream. I will. Yeah, his page has one for 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, pretty ambitious. I mean, it's pretty smart because I mean it's like an ambitious idea, but it's like so simple to do. You know, it's one of those things like, man, why didn't I think of that? Yeah. You just take a picture. And, you know, it's like easy to do. I mean, maybe not as easy back when you had to use like an actual camera, maybe, but. But yeah, the Goku mask. I think it's at my mom's, Lich. Are you the one, Lich, who really likes that Goku mask? Like you'll bring it up a couple times. I think you've brought it up a few times. It still exists. I think it's in storage. It might even be here somewhere. I don't know, I have to look a little bit. I will find it for you, Lich. Just for you. On the subject of photos, I'm gonna wrap this up. But on the subject of photos, I'll share this with you guys. I've brought it up every time I've caught you live. Yeah, I was thinking it was you. You were the one who was bringing it up like every time. Holy smokes. Oh, we got... Holy smokes, I remember seeing the Let's Play after SSOH PKC recommended your channel. Really cool to see it come back. Hope you're well. Thank you, Kat. You know, the thing about that, Kat, it's interesting you bring that up. SSOH PKC, he was one of those guys who ended up with a pretty big following. I don't even... God, does he have like 1 million subscribers now or something? I don't think he makes videos anymore. He ended up with this big following. But he watched a couple of us back in the day, like me, Griffin Lobster, a few others. He gave me a shout out a couple of times. And it was great. What's unfortunate though is The episode where he gave me the shout out for Pokemon Leaf Green got a copyright flag on it. So that video giving me the shout out is like not giving me the plug anymore. Because he used like this remix of Bill Cosby singing a Pokemon song or something. I guess I got like flagged for copyright or something. If that project's still up, I don't even know what it is. Yeah, he did a playthrough of Fire Red, and he would use this song, this like remix of Bill Cosby talking about Pokemon in The Simpsons or whatever. And he gave me a shout out in like episode 2, and I got pretty good traffic from that. I was like, wow, it's great, thank you. You know, I was going through and backing up a bunch of Let's Plays and wondering what happened to that episode. Yeah, I think it got taken down due to copyright. I don't know if he just never resolved it or re-uploaded it, or I don't really know what happened. So it kind of sucks because he gave me the shout out in it, and I got pretty good traffic from that episode, and then the episode just got dropped for copyright because of the song he used. And now it's just gone. Yeah. So I don't really know what happened with that. He probably could have re-uploaded. I mean, maybe he just didn't have the contents of that episode saved without the... I don't know. I feel like it would have been a pretty easy fix. Just cut the song out. But anyway, that was kind of a bummer. But it did bring some people who stuck around, like you, Kat. So thank you for that. Unfortunately, Kat, I am kind of wrapping up here, but this will be archived if you want to watch most of it. It's a lot of just sitting here talking, so it's a lot of just background noise, you know. But for the couple people that are here, I'll end the stream with a little bit of a treat. I don't think I've ever shown this. It has nothing to do with Let's Plays, by the way, or my channel. But on the subject of taking photos, it got me thinking about it. And it's right here, so I figure I'll show it. So I'm going to go get it, and I'll be right back. Nothing to do with Let's Plays, but on the subject of taking photos, it got me thinking about it. It's right here. Figure I'll show you. I'm a master yapper. You got it. That's why I got into this business. So I don't think this is probably going to go through very well on the webcam. It's probably not going to be very good quality. But I'm mostly going to show it just to give you the idea, anyway. So way back in the day, my grandmother, Mastermind Mickey Mouse. Oh yeah, Fantasia, Mickey Mouse, Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse. He's back there. I always want to call him Ferdy because my sister and I had a Fantasia Mickey Mouse when we were kids, and we named him Ferdy and made him Ferdy because we were reading a Disney book where Mickey had like some nephews come over named Morty and Ferdy, and we were like, oh, we should, because we had a bunch of Disney plushes, and we were like, oh, we should get a Ferdy and a Morty, and so we got the Fantasia Mickey Mouse so that we could have a Ferdy for him. So yeah, so every time I see that I want to call him Ferdy, but he's just Mickey. Anyway, so way back in the day, way back in the old days, the 90s, you had 1 hour photo, or you would take photos. You had Polaroids and things like that, but what you would also do is you had disposable cameras. You would take a photo, and then you went and got them developed. It wasn't like now. You take a picture now, it's on your phone. You can delete it immediately. You can look at it. You can go, wow, this is terrible. Delete it. You can make a selfie. You can do all that stuff. Back in the old days, you had disposable cameras. You took photos, and you didn't know what they were going to look like until you developed them. So you could take 100 pictures, and they could all look terrible. And sometimes they did come out terrible. And you just didn't know until you went and got them developed. So sometimes your eyes were closed in a photo. Sometimes you had like red eye problems. Sometimes, the camera was tilted or something. So this happened a lot back in the day. So actually, disposable was tough to work with. So actually, way back in the day, my grandmother had the idea to, instead of getting rid of those pictures, to actually just make an album out of the bad pictures. So I still have this. It's a photo album. And basically what we did is we would go through photos, and the photos that we thought turned out really, really badly, we put in the album. We didn't keep like everything ever, but particular photos that we thought really didn't turn out good, instead of getting rid of it, we thought we're going to make an album out of it, because people, like no one has photo albums anymore, obviously. So every time people have photo albums, you did the opposite of this. It was like you get all the really good pictures together. The nice picture. Oh, here's the family on Christmas. Here's so and so. Here's the kids and all that. So we had the idea like, let's do the opposite of that. Let's get an album together of all the bad pictures. And I still have it. It's right here. I'm not going to go. Don't worry. I'm not going to do the vacation slideshow and show you every picture, because that would be boring. But I can maybe show a couple that are notable, if they even go through on the webcam. But like, for instance, here's a photo of my mom. If you can see it. If it looks bad, it's because it is bad, because the flash was so bad in the picture that's what the picture turned out like. There's just this huge flash, just this big beam of light. And this is an example of what we're talking about, where it was like, instead of getting rid of that photo, we put it in the album and made that one of the pictures in the album. It really sounds like your type of humor. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, we had very similar senses of humor, as you can imagine. Here's another one. I don't really know what this was supposed to be, but somebody took a picture here, and it's just their knee. It's just them sitting there, and all you can see is their knee. So that was another example where we're putting that in the album. 'Cause we're like, I don't even know who this is or what happened here. I don't know if they just took a photo by accident. But it's like, here's somebody just sitting there with their knee. So put that in there. This is yeah, it might have been like a test photo. So this is a little unrelated, but this picture right here, what my grandma thought would be funny is, this is one of those stock photos that comes with the picture frames. You always have like the stock photo that's in the frames. So she actually took that picture and just put it in there, like, and she would always joke like, "Oh yeah, those are my much better grandchildren that I have." You know, so we used to just joke about these kids, like, "Oh yeah, those really nice kids." You know, we don't know who they are, but or we'd say the opposite, like, "Oh yeah, those really rotten kids that we, you know, we only met them once, but we're glad to be rid of them." You know. I don't know how many of these are worth showing, but here's my mom scratching her butt. I don't know if you can really see that. You probably can't. That might not come through all that well, but I don't know if you can see it, but don't tell my mom I'm showing this. But it's my mom scratching her behind. And yeah, that ended up in the album, as you might guess. And then sometimes we had pictures where they just turned out weird. I mean, they were like bad, but we were just like, what even happened here? This is supposed to be my cousin holding up a pair of pants, but it just turned out really weird. It just looks like her head is inside a giant package. Like, that's what it look. You know, those are pants. She's holding up pants, but it just kind of looks like that's a huge package, and her head is just sticking out. Her head is just sticking out of the package. You know. So that's another one in here. There's a few in here of people with their eyes closed. You know, there's pictures with like a weird smudge that turned out weird. You know. Well, again, I'm not going to show everything, but oh, here I am being attacked by dinosaurs. Forgot I had this in here. I should put this somewhere else. Yeah, here I am being attacked by dinosaurs. It's, I don't know. I guess I thought it'd be funny to take the dinosaur figures and put them on me like they were attacking me or something. Wonder how many photos were ruined just because someone accidentally had their finger on part of the lens. That was a big part of it too. The incident, yeah. I think this might be the last one I should show. Oh god, yeah. This one's embarrassing. Here I am by the pool with a towel. And I just had a towel wrapped around me, but the way it looks, I look like I'm naked. Basically. If you can see it. If you see what I mean, like, I look like I just showed up naked to the swimming pool, you know. I did survive, just barely, but oh, there's my ex-girlfriend. I can't show her. Well, it's only the back of her head anyway. So. She has no idea she's in an album. go streaking. Yeah. I don't know if you can tell this one. This is probably the last one I'll show. But this is like my aunt and my cousin. But like the way they were standing and the way the picture turned out, like it just kind of looks like their heads are just joined together. You kind of see what I don't know if it comes across or not, but like my aunt's turned around and then my cousin's kind of next to her, but the way that they were standing and the way the picture was taken, it just kind of looks like their two heads joined together. Like my cousin's head's just growing off of my aunt's head. I don't know, it turned out kind of like some kind of weird. I only see one head. Yeah, it's the back of a head and then someone's head's turned sideways. You see it now? Yeah. Yeah, one head's turned around, the other's to the side, but it ended up looking like their heads are joined together, you know. All right, I'm going to wrap the stream up. I'm going to share one more thing, just because I like you guys. And you guys seem to enjoy this, so I'm going to share one more thing. I promise this is it. Okay. This isn't really something I can like hold up as well, but I feel like you'll enjoy it. So, and it's very in tune with who I am, my humor and everything. So I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back. One more thing, the sequel. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to hold it up a little bit just as a reference. You won't quite get what this is, but yeah, that's Atticus. It's Atticus Scouts on the couch over there. But the orange cat, that's Atticus. Okay, so if you want to get an idea of my sense of how much I inherited my sense of humor from my dad, basically, it's pretty much in this. Okay, so okay, so when my mom was pregnant with my sister, so this was January 30th, 1986. All right. So they went to see a doctor, and I guess they thought the insurance covered the whole thing, but apparently it didn't. Okay. So they got a letter in the mail about, hey, you owe money, you know. And so you probably can't really see this, but just to give you an idea of what it was like. So what this says is the balance that is due on your account is delinquent. Is there a reason why this account has not been paid? Okay. You want to know how much they owed? $9. $9. Their insurance didn't cover the whole thing, so they got this letter in the mail about, hey, you have a balance that's delinquent. Why has this not been paid? In the form of $9. Okay. So So here's what my dad did. Okay. So my dad
Their insurance didn't cover the whole thing.
was just ran by Mr. Krabs, you would think. Okay. So here's what my dad did. All right. So he wrote a check. He wrote a check for $9. Okay. And he mailed them the check. But he also wrote them a letter that he included with the check. All right. That's maybe you can really see it, but that's a copy of the check for $9. Okay. So my dad wrote a letter that he included with the check. Okay. I'm gonna read to you. It's not very long, I promise, but here's the letter that my dad wrote to them. Okay. And I'll read the names here because this was back in the 80s, so this isn't a thing anymore. You know, this place doesn't exist anymore or whatever. But anyway. So here's the letter my dad wrote. When we received your original bill, we submitted a claim to our insurance company. My wife's doctor, Dr. Everidge, is a participating member of this insurance group, and we had assumed that all related charges would be covered. We were wrong. You will find enclosed a check for the entire amount of $9. We are sorry for the obvious inconvenience that this misunderstanding has caused your organization, and we thank you for the firm yet tactful reminder that you sent. In parentheses, it says, see attached, because he included the letter they wrote about you owe the money. We look forward to Columbus Pathology satisfying all of our pathological needs in the future. Sincerely, and then he signed his name. So he paid the $9 that they owed in the form of a check, which he mailed them, and he included that letter. So I have a copy. I have a copy of all that. Anyway, I like to share that with people because it's so like people hear that and they're like, dude, that's you. They're just like they read that letter and they're like, dude, that is you. Like that is so something you would have done, you know. A shitpost letter in the 80s, like that's exactly what it was, you know. I just love, like, you know, we had assumed all that would be covered. We were wrong. I love him putting like the entire amount of $9. You know, you will find enclosed a check for the entire amount of $9. Thank you for the firm yet tactful reminder. Really appreciate that story. Thank you, Shay. Yeah. I think we could learn from that too. You know, if you get a thing in the mail like, you know, this has not been paid, and it's like $4, like that's how you deal with that. You know, I'm sure that $9 really helped them. Yeah, you know, they're about to, you know, open up an OnlyFans for the pathology clinic. You know, do a GoFundMe for the pathology clinic here. We just don't have enough people with diseases these days coming in here. I would have wrote that it took a lot of scrounging to gather the entire amount of $9. Yeah, you know, it was very difficult getting these $9. We had to ask in a lot of favors. I regret to write that I did things for money I never thought I would have had to do. I regret to write, I did things for money I never thought I would have had to. Here I thought I was done asking my father for favors. Just like tell this really long, yeah, just tell this really long story. And just make all this stuff up, you know. You know, my poor cousin Winston, well, I guess he didn't need that liver operation after all, was kind enough to donate his remaining $4 to help with to help gather the much needed $9 that your clinic is in dire need of, you know. The entire company managed to split a few sips of coffee between themselves, yeah. Yeah, what would have amounted to like a Ko-fi donation. And if you're thinking about inflation a little bit, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it was probably a little bit. $9 was probably like $30,000 in 1986, but I had to break open my son's piggy bank, which he had been saving up his entire 7 years of existence to get the $9. Yeah. Grandma, $1, it's for your granddaughter. Yeah, she's 2 weeks old, so what? Yeah. That's the thing. Like, just send them like pages and pages and pages. Just keep adding all these details to this story. I never thought I would speak to my old English teacher again, who said I would never be a success in life. Turns out he was right. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it up for tonight, guys. It's another Polaroid of a child's broken piggy bank, yeah, with them sitting next to it with a sad face, you know. Clothing made out of pillow sheets, like Dobby or something. All right, well, I'm going to start wrapping it up for tonight. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Wasn't sure how this was going to go. I was like, just me talking. I don't know if people are going to care about this that much. Just becomes a 100-page manuscript that eventually gets published. Yeah, there you go. At that point, you're writing an entire receipt. 53 cents came from my uncle, who graciously gave me the change from his pocket. Yeah, just go through like a full accounting of every single person. You know, it was fun talking, Brian. Yeah, have a good night. Thank you, Shay and Connor and Litch and everybody else who's here. Everyone I talked to earlier who came by. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys more in the future, doing more Pokemon LeafGreen, and I'll try to keep finding ways to kind of stay in contact and all that. There's other things I'm kind of working on here and there that I need to do, but I'll stay in touch. Just wanted to do this for now, and thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the horizon for more Pokemon LeafGreen, and looking forward to more talking and seeing you guys. So, night, everybody. See ya.